So this story has been out there for a while. Essentially, the Ditko family wants to reclaim the copyright for Spider-Man and Doctor Strange. So do they have any case whatsoever? Is this with any merit, or should it be dismissed? Well, again, copyright is a little complex. So let me just go through what I know and what I think is verifiable fact about these issues. As far as I understood it, Stan Lee essentially sold back the rights to almost every character he made with a deal with Marvel a few years back. So in terms of the Spider-Man copyright, that's going to be very tricky because again, Steve Ditko was very critical to the visual design of Spider-Man, but in terms of the actual story and origins, that's almost completely Stan Lee. So it is true that technically Ditko is a co-creator, but in terms of Spider-Man's actual creator, that's still basically Stan Lee, not Steve Ditko. So it's unclear legally what they would be really claiming. Another problem is that Spider-Man has been changed so often visually as well as in terms of his origins. It's not clear what they would have, even if they did get copyright. They would just be getting copyright of a very narrow segment of Spider-Man. But it's possible, but I think there the case would be very, very weak. But turning to Doctor Strange, I think that's actually an entire matter entirely. I think actually there it's the reverse. In the case of Doctor Strange, it is true that Stan Lee contributed, but there I think the Steve Ditko contribution was very, very decisive. It wasn't just the visual look. Ditko had very certain ideas of what he wanted Doctor Strange to be, how he was supposed to look, and how he would operate in the Marvel Comics universe. So I think with Spider-Man, he actually has a very, very weak case. So even if you wanted to give the copyright to Ditko, there really isn't much he can really do on that front. And again, this is the family, so what the family intends to do with Spider-Man is very up in the air. They could just basically just sell it back to another corporation. So it wouldn't be we would be getting the classical Spider-Man even with them. So it's a little murky in terms of the law, and I don't think even in terms as a fan it would really change all that much with Spider-Man. I don't think necessarily Spider-Man fans should be jumping for joy if they get the copyright back. Again, it could just be they'll sell it back to another corporation. And but with Doctor Strange, I do think it's plausible that Ditko could claim that he was a very decisive in terms of the creation of Doctor Strange. That IP, I think the Ditko family might actually have a very strong case. But would we be getting a better Doctor Strange if the Ditko family did get some of the rights back? I don't know. There, it's I think a little murky. I have not been a big fan of Doctor Strange so far in the quote new MCU. I read Doctor Strange in the 1990s and I like that version, but again, it's very unclear what the Ditko family will do with the characters, even if they got the copyright back. Presumably, they would simply license the characters to new people or new corporations, or they might simply license these characters to other corporations or even Disney itself and just sell the rights back to them. So again, it's unclear this would be much of a victory for fans, but do they have any standing legally? Well, it's tricky because technically these were works done under contract. So presumably the contract specified they didn't have any rights. But again, Marvel did settle with Stan Lee, so presumably they could get some kind of compensation. But getting back the rights, I'm very, very doubtful. So in terms of Spider-Man, I don't think they have much of a case. But with Doctor Strange, yeah, I think legally as well as ethically, they might really be able to claim that Steve Ditko was very critical with Doctor Strange. So with Doctor Strange, I do think the Ditko family might have a case, but even there, it's probably going to be very unlikely that they get the rights back. But it could happen, and there we are.